Lee Yumi, who lives in an orphanage, faces daily nightmares at school due to relentless bullying. On her son's birthday, her classmates give her a humiliating gift by breaking eggs over her head, sprinkling her with flour, and pouring stinky fish sauce on her. Despite this, Yumi loves school and quickly changes her clothes to attend class. Her classmates, repulsed by her smell, ask her to stay away. After class, the teacher tries to identify the bullies, but Yumi stays silent. Returning to the orphanage, where she not only lives but also works, Yumi takes care of the young children like a mother. One evening, after hearing that a bully hit little Rin, Yumi confronts the bully's mother, demanding an apology. Later, Yumi receives a gift from an anonymous person, a beautiful t-shirt, leaving her puzzled about who cares for her. Yumi's twin sister, Yungal, was adopted into a wealthy family and attends a prestigious private school. Unaware of each other's existence, Yungal secretly sends gifts to Yumi. As Yungal prepares for a school excursion, she meets her friends and listens to a live broadcast of a swimming competition. Her childhood friend Han, who secretly loves her, wins a gold medal. Yungal receives a threatening text, making her anxious. Meanwhile, Yumi misses school due to a high fever. Her classmates, pretending to be her friends, visit the orphanage but continue to bully her. The prosecutor's rich daughter offers help, but it's just another ploy to humiliate Yumi. That evening, Yungal checks into a hotel and receives a mysterious text. Yumi, seeking help for the orphanage, meets with the bully, who deceives her again. Enraged, Yumi defends herself, leading to a conflict caught on security cameras. The next morning, Yungal notices a strange mark on her friend's neck and realizes something is wrong. Yumi, unknowingly working at the same cafe Yungal frequents, starts having memory lapses. Yungal disappears, and her classmates search for her, finding no trace. Her mother rushes to find her but gets into an accident. Han, devastated by Yungal's disappearance, refuses to compete. Soon after, Yumi is falsely accused of assaulting a classmate and expelled. Her classmates film another bullying incident. Yungal's mother, searching for her daughter, is ignored by everyone. Eventually, she finds Yumi in the hospital, suffering from memory loss, mistaking her for Yungal. Sun, the bully, attacks Yumi in the hospital, but Yumi's mother, mistaking Yumi for Yungal, defends her. Yumi, with a new identity, meets a classmate named Gong, who entertains her. At school, Gong tells Yumi's friends about her, and they rush to visit. Yumi's mother takes her home, noticing her changed behavior. Back at school, Yumi's classmates are happy to see her, but she has vague memories of a different life. Her friend's insincerity bothers her, and a bank card theft leads them to the police. The class teacher intervenes, taking responsibility for the girls. Yumi tries to befriend her hostile classmate, who remembers past wrongs. Han, accompanying Yumi to practice, is surprised by her behavior change. At school, Yumi struggles with a locker code, revealing her memory loss. A policeman breaks the locker, finding jewelry, and Yumi is accused of theft. Han reassures her, and they leave the classroom. Han later asks Yumi about the theft, but she can't remember. Suspecting her innocence, they decide to uncover the truth. In the principal's office, Yumi's friend accuses her, refusing her explanations. Yumi's persistent calls and texts aim to clarify what happened. During a walk, Han notices the wound on Yumi's neck has healed, recalling he saw her during the excursion. Yumi, puzzled by her lack of pain and missing marks, seeks alone time at school. Gong apologizes for past behavior, reminding Yumi of their history. The principal and class teacher investigate the jewelry theft, causing distrust among students. Apologizing to Yumi's friend, the students try to resolve the case to avoid further trouble. But it's easier to forget about the situation than for someone to get hurt. In fact, Lei often steals from her mother to avoid looking poor in front of her friends, but she is afraid to admit it. At the same time, she feels offended by her classmates' attitudes towards her, as they perceive her only as a wallet and never treat her as a real friend. In the evening, Leichi sneaks into the classroom to open her locker, but Yumble catches her and realizes that her friend set her up on purpose. Yumble tries to understand why her friend did this to her. Li Shi confesses that she actually hates her and wanted her to experience suffering and humiliation. Yenil accepts this with a smile, as she doesn't remember anything but feels that this isn't the first time she's been bullied. A little later, Yuno offers her friend money in exchange for her time, literally ready to pay for friendship so that Li Shi doesn't suspect her of selfish motives. Yono meets Han and realizes she is falling in love with him because of his sincerity and kindness. She can only confide in him about everything happening in her life. The couple decides to fool around by the pool, and at some point, Yuno falls into the water. She doesn't know how to swim and begins to drown, but suddenly remembers that this has happened before. A few weeks ago, she decided to end her life and jumped into the water, but her twin sister saved her at the last moment. After remembering the truth about herself, Yuni, who thought she was Yunb, checks the photos and realizes that her twin sister gave her life. Back home, Yuni tries to remember her past and understand why her sister did that and where she is now. A while later, Yumi decides to continue pretending to be the disappeared Yunbwa and goes to a disciplinary hearing, ready to accept punishment for something she didn't do. At the same time, Lei meets with her teacher and confesses the truth, repenting for what she has done. A little later, Yunal receives gifts and leaves a letter of apology, asking Lei to forgive her for her terrible deed. Feeling guilty, Lei decides to leave the school so her classmates won't accuse her of slander and bully her. When she returns home in the evening, Yuni finds a box of letters from Yunal. After reading them, she learns that her sister was adopted when she was 5 years old, which is why they never knew each other. Determined to find her sister at all costs, she soon discovers that her sister took her own life. Distressed, Yuni sends an anonymous letter to her mother so she can visit her real daughter's grave and say goodbye. Upon meeting Ibel, the woman curses her and cries, unable to believe someone would send such a cruel letter. Yuni has to explain that she is Yuni and tell the whole truth. After apologizing for everything, she decides to return to the orphanage to continue her familiar and miserable life. Her mother won't let Yumi go and asks her not to leave again. Returning to her late sister's life, Yumi is considered deceased, so the woman suggests she not change anything and continue living as Yunal. Soon, the girl returns to school and starts pretending to be Yunal, but the differences in personality and behavior remain obvious. Her handwriting is different, attracting the attention of her classmates and embarrassing her. To avoid tricky questions, she complains of a headache and goes to the doctor, where she meets Gong, who is hiding from class. A little later, she returns to class and meets the teacher. Suddenly, they both receive a strange message from a mysterious stranger asking them to keep pleasant memories. Back in class, Yuni overhears a conversation between classmates discussing a famous actress without realizing it's Gong's mother. At some point, Gong gets so annoyed by his classmates' words that he attacks one of them, leading to a brutal fight. The only one who can stop Gong is Yunal, but he pushes her away, causing her to injure her arm. Seeing what he has done, Gong feels guilty and wants to leave, but Han stops him. Her friends continue to treat Yunbwa with caution, still finding the sudden disappearance of the wound on her neck strange. In the evening, the school principal scolds her son for his behavior, but Gong doesn't feel guilty and blames his father for his parents' separation, which resulted in him growing up in a single-parent family. Not wanting to continue arguing with his father, Gong goes for a walk and meets Yun Bell. Apologizing for his thoughtless act, Gong teaches her how to ride a unicycle, unaware that Han is watching them jealously from the sidelines. Han wanted to give her a medal he had promised as a child, but feeling disappointed, he leaves it on Yun Bell's gate. Upon returning home, she notices the medal and thanks Han, realizing he had loved her sister all her life. The next morning, the teacher announces a new student in their class. The boys are happy, but Yumbel is shocked because this girl, Se, is actually guilty of causing Yumi's death. On the first day, Sun tries to get to know Yunal better, but she avoids her for fear of exposure and repeated humiliation. In the evening, Yunal learns that her words were quoted as she shared her experiences on social media. Painful memories make her feel heavy, and suddenly Sun sends her a message asking to meet the next day. Yumbel hurries to the library to find the book with the number indicated by the bully. She suddenly notices her friends, who strongly believe that Yumbel and Yumi are the same person. Sun tries to expose her in front of her friends and acquaintances, and at one point, decides to take a picture of her, but Gon gets in the way, causing Sun to drop her phone. Her friends notice her strange attitude towards Yunal and demand an explanation. A while later, Sun apologizes for her strange behavior, but Yumbel doesn't accept the apology and doesn't want to communicate with her. When Yuno walks into the hallway, she meets a girl from a neighboring class who informs her that Saudi has been dead for a year. Frightened, Yun brushes home and opens the box using her sister's knowledge and memories. She finds the right book in the library but can't put all the information together. In the evening, Yunal meets Han and decides to tell the truth to relieve some of the moral burden and tension. Realizing the guy's reaction might be unpredictable, Yumble changes her mind at the last moment and keeps quiet. The next day, Sun meets Yungal and tells her about a classmate who lost her life because she was weak and cowardly. She tries to provoke Yungal into a conflict, suspecting that Yumble and Yuni are the same person. Yungal responds rudely but doesn't step out of character, causing SE to attack and push her around. At one point, SE wants to hit Yungal, but Gong stops her, informing her that he heard the entire conversation. Lastly, Yumble admits she had a twin sister and vows to avenge her. Gong wants to know the reason for the conflict, but Yumble won't talk about it and remains enemies with SE. Not wanting her to be in danger, Gong asks her to stay away from the bully. After the incident, Sun meets up with one of Yul's friends and tries to win her over to her side. A little later, Yumble tries to warn this friend not to get involved with the dangerous bully, but the girl believes Yumble is jealous because SE promised to talk to her uncle, who has a production company, to make her an actress. As a result, Yumble's relationship with her friend becomes more strained, just as the bully planned. Han feels Yumble is hiding something from him and asks her to be sincere. Yunbua feels she can't continue living her sister's life as she slowly loses herself. The next day, the class learns the story of a girl who lost her life due to bullying. SE talks to Gong and continues to spread rumors that Yungal isn't who she says she is. He can easily verify this by comparing their handwritings. Gong decides to test her reaction by calling her by a different name. Realizing Yungal reacted, he grabs her and takes her out of school. On the way home, he asks for permission to call her by her real name. In the evening, Yumble thinks about how to make up with Han and goes to practice the next morning. The guy avoids socializing, but the girl pursues him, crying and begging to talk. Soon, they reconcile, and Yul decides to let her hair down as her twin sister did. At school, Yunbua meets Sun and warns her of the possible consequences if she continues to bother her. Even if the bully's assumptions were correct, she wouldn't be able to prove them, so it's best to be quiet to avoid getting expelled. Returning to class, Yunbua learns that the teacher is asking them to research their last trip and write a creative paper on the topic. As she studies the photos, she notices herself in one of the pictures just before she tried to kill herself. A little later, she receives printouts from a telecommunications company and notices a strange number. In the evening, she meets the person, who turns out to be a girl from her school. It turns out that she was the one to whom Sun sent messages from Yun's number the night she was bullied. The girl's fight resulted in the bully's friend pushing Yuni to the ground, revealing that Yunla was dating her and had gotten hit, leaving a mark on her neck that everyone was talking about. After much deliberation, Yunal realizes she likes Han and goes out with him in the evening. She removes carrots from the food, and the guy finds it funny since she has done this before. Han notes that the girl has changed, but he likes the new personality even better. They spend a romantic evening together. At some point, Han notices a strange mark on her shoulder and asks where she got it. She admits she fell at the age of 10 from a horse, which surprises Han because he had never heard this story from Yunbua. After that, the students have to present their work, but some of them have broken their laptops for unknown reasons. They have been working hard and are very angry about what happened, suddenly turning their attention to Sei, assuming she is involved. The girl tries to defend herself, but no one believes her, leading one of the schoolgirls to check her bag and find the lost book. At that moment, Sun becomes resentful and turns into the very schoolgirl being bullied by everyone. In the evening, Han looks at a picture and keeps thinking about the girl. Later, he meets Yunal, and they support each other. The girl cries, having a hard time with everything that has happened. Han asks questions, and she has to confirm she is not the person he has loved since childhood. The next morning, Yumul decides to visit her sister's grave and notices sad children from the orphanage coming to visit. She feels sad because she can't hug and comfort them, admitting she is still alive and can't forgive herself. She has no idea Han has been following her all this time. A couple of days later, Yumble has trouble getting out of bed due to fatigue and fever. Her mother offers to let her stay home, but the girl goes to school. One of the guys asks her out on a date on the roof the next morning. Han is preparing for another competition, but Sun decides to talk to him about the girl. He doesn't want to socialize with her and demands that the bully stay away from Yel. Sei wants revenge on him too, so she calls him to talk shortly before the competition, and he has to run to meet her. At the same time, the bully gathers the whole class to try to expose Yul by telling the truth about the girl who settled the score. Han rushes to school but is hit by a car. Gong stops Sun from talking, not wanting her to reveal Yun's life since he knows Yun and Yunbwa are the same girl. Han bursts into the classroom and defends the girl from the bullies' attacks. At the same time, Sun reveals a secret. Yunbal had a twin sister, and Yumul was adopted when she was 5 years old. Yunal can't admit to everyone that the real Yul lost her life because of her, so she stays in character, causing Sun to leave the class. After the scandal, Han leaves the class but falls to the floor and passes out due to the accident. In the hospital, he learns from his father that his arm is broken and he won't be able to return to swimming for a year. After learning what happened, Yumul visits Han to help him, but he reacts aggressively and kicks her out. Sei continues plotting against the girl who has become her enemy. In the evening, Yumul visits Han again and offers him a walk as his condition improves, but he rejects her again, asking her not to come to him, causing her to run away in tears. She regrets being honest with him and stays under the door, trying to communicate with Han. The next day, the school disciplinary council meets after learning about the schoolgirl who lost her life a year ago. It is assumed that Sun was somehow involved, so an investigation will be conducted. Yim's mother wants to know what's going on and plans to leave the school when she learns that the girl who horrified a classmate and molested her daughter in the hospital studies there. In the evening, Han finds himself by the pool, looking sadly at the water since he won't be able to compete for another year. Yumble finds him and stands with him. She confesses that she has been very afraid of water, completely unable to swim, but fate has given her a second chance. She feels grateful to her sister and doesn't want to ruin her new life, so her efforts won't be in vain. Soon after, Yumul receives a message and goes to school, where an unknown man hiding his face asks if she remembers her childhood friend and why she let him lose his life alone. Yumble tries to come out, but is pushed away and locked in the classroom to make her feel scared and alone. She sits alone in the dark classroom for hours until a teacher appears, opens the door, and calms her down. On the way out of school, Han meets them and agrees to walk Yungal home so she won't feel nervous. The next morning, she meets with the teacher to discuss what happened during the night. He realizes something strange is going on at the school and decides to watch the camera footage. After carefully following the unknown person, he realizes it is a new teacher who recently transferred. It turns out she is Saul's older sister and has come to seek revenge and justice for her late sister. Soon, the teacher meets with the woman after work to ask her not to pick on Yunal. The girl lost her life during class, and the teacher still feels guilty but asks her not to take revenge on anyone because it won't bring anything back. The teacher then talks to the headmaster, whom he considers a role model, and tells him everything going on in the school. Meanwhile, Yumble learns about the person who shut her down in class and asks the teacher to explain why. The woman tells her about her high school sister whom Yunal ignored, leading to her passing away. Later, Yumble meets Han and asks to be friends again. They have fun together, and the girl gives him the medal she won at the orphanage. After returning home, Yumble decides to move with her mother to another city to start a new life. She hears a knock on the door and opens it to see Yunal still alive. She can't believe her eyes. Yunal reveals she had been watching Yui for some time and knew she was being bullied. When her sister tried to take her own life, Yumi rescued her. When she found out that Yumi had lost her memory, she tried to give her a happy life with a rich family. The sisters spend the evening together, and the real Yunal decides to go to her school. Sei tries to bully her, not realizing she is a different girl who doesn't have memory problems. Gong notices a change in Yunal's behavior and learns the truth. Realizing that Yuni, who is pretending to be Yumul, is leaving, he rushes after her to stop the girl he has fallen in love with. Meanwhile, his mother decides to adopt his other sister so they can live as one family without hiding. Yumi goes to the orphanage to let everyone know she is still alive, including the children who love her dearly. In the evening, Gon finds her and demands an explanation, but the children protect her, believing him to be a danger. Gon gets to know the orphanage and its residents better to gain the children's trust. Later, he confesses that he loves Yumi but feels cheated by the whole affair. Yumi soon meets Han, but he doesn't realize which of the sisters he now loves. Sei tries to get into their conversation, but is too annoyed with the girl, ready to punish her for all the bad things she's done. Han spends time with the real E but soon realizes that he has fallen in love with her sister and wants to be with her. Meanwhile, Yumi returns to her old life at the orphanage and spends time with the children. The police arrest the headmaster, and Gong feels depressed as his father turns out to be not as good a man as he wanted. The girl goes to the hotel where Gon is training and asks a staff member to give him a medal. Suddenly, the guy notices her. She is glad that he started to prepare for the competition and offers to stay friends. After learning about what happened with the director, the girl calls Gong, but the guy is too upset, resulting in him ending up in the hospital. After meeting Gong's mother, the girl promises to give her son a present and starts to take care of his health, leading to the guy being soon discharged from the hospital. In the evening, Gong walks her home and confesses his love again, though he is sad because it is not mutual. Han also wants to confess his feelings but sees the girl with someone else. The next morning, the guys work things out between them, after which Han tells the girl that he loves her, and it seems to be mutual. Yumi has strange feelings. She wants the guy by her side, but both high schoolers like her sister. Yenil talks to Gong and realizes that he is showing interest in her, and she is ready to reciprocate as her best friend has taken a liking to her sister. In the evening, the sisters discuss everything that has happened to them recently and decide to go to school together to tell everyone the truth. The next day, the teacher announces that he quit his job due to his mistakes. When he goes outside, he sees that the school children have pasted notes on his car in support of him. Yoongi comes to the school to tell the students the truth and apologize for pretending to be a sister all this time. Se decides to post an old video of Yumi being bullied to hurt her again. Upon finding out, Yumi rushes to school and shocks her friends by seeing two identical girls in front of her. Grabbing Se by the arm, Yumi orders the video to be deleted so she won't be in trouble. At the same time, Yumi tells her classmates the whole story, from the bullying to the amnesia and subsequent lying. Realizing that Se doesn't want to delete the video voluntarily, Yumi beats her up and records the bully's confession on her phone. From then on, Se must stay away from her sisters, or she will go to jail for her bullying that nearly drove Yumi to her grave. Yumi soon spends time with Han, after which the sisters decide to transfer to another school. When Han finds out about this, he gets very upset and tries to talk to the girl to get to the bottom of their feelings. A little later, Yumi meets Se, and the bully promises not to bother her, but at the same time, she can't apologize for everything she did before. Yumi then meets Han, who decides to declare his love for her once again. The girl is unsure of her feelings and asks for time to think about it. Han gives her his medal and asks her to return it when she decides whether she loves him or not. 6 months later, the girl revisits her school and learns that Gong has forgiven his father after he got out of prison. Meeting Han on the bus, Yumi returns his medal, thus confirming that their love is mutual. A short while later, Yumi also returns to her hometown after traveling abroad for a year and begins dating Gong.